Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the MitsuTimes podcast. My guest today is Mr. Jared Groudon. He is the owner and driver of a very cool, very unique 420A powered 2G in the top 10. How are you today, Jared?
Doing pretty good myself. How are you tonight?
I'm great. Glad to have you on. The 420A doesn't get enough love, and I definitely love having anybody from the top 10 on. So certainly glad to have you on. I get kind of the best of both worlds as a 2G guy myself and a former. I feel like all the 2G guys started off with 420As, so it's definitely near and dear to my heart.
For sure.
Well, Jared, let's kick it off. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your car.
Well, my name is Jared Groudon. I'm almost 38 years old now. For the purpose of this podcast, I drive a 1999 Mitsubishi Eclipse 420A powered, and it's currently still in the all-motor build.
Okay. Is it the GS or the RS model? I'm always curious.
Mine was the RS model. I actually kind of looked for as stripped down of models I could. The base models were actually pretty hard to find.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel like they're so hard to tell, but you'll know right away when you don't see even the small spoiler on them.
Well, that, and to me, it's the sunroof. I really didn't want a sunroof.
Yeah. What originally got you into DSMs, Jared?
So, to be totally honest, when the Fast and Furious came out, I was obsessed with Brian O'Connor's Eclipse in the first movie. I believe that was 2003?
2001, I believe.
Oh, man, even earlier. So I was in ninth grade or something then. I graduated in 2005, and I didn't even have a car at the time. But I proceeded to start a wish list, if you will, of the car and all the components that I wanted to put on it, and I was dead set on building a replica car when I first started.
That's understandable. I feel like a lot of us kind of got the itch from that movie. Well, Jared, was there anything in particular that got you into drag racing, or was it still from Fast and Furious?
No, well, the concept of drag racing, it was obviously street racing in Fast and Furious, but my younger brother and I started attending a few Friday, Saturday night races down at MIR, and I had a Toyota Tacoma at the time, and I was drag racing the Friday night street drags, and after the first couple of passes, I was hooked, and drag racing was, I just knew that's what I wanted to do.
Gotcha. Now, Jared, did you know, at the time, it's kind of difficult because we're so young. Did you know that you wanted the 420A because it was like the one in the movie, or did you not really care?
Actually, yes. I rewatched the movie multiple times, and I studied the engine bay. I think it was in one of the earlier scenes where they had the night street meetup in the warehouses, and I would pause it and I looked over that engine bay top to bottom, and I knew when I started looking for one, and I saw pictures of the engine bays, that the RS and GS models are what I was looking for at that time.
Gotcha. So, Jared, even though you said that it's an all-motor build, those oftentimes can be a little bit complicated. So can you walk us through your setup? What's going on under the hood?
Well, currently there's just a transmission under the hood at the moment. I'm in the process of doing a tubular front end, and actually rebuilding pretty much most of the whole car. But it was in its last time out, where it posted the top 10 time. It was on a stock bottom end that we pulled from a junkyard car, and built head. But I had already done major weight reduction to the car. It had absolutely no interior. We removed power steering, air conditioning, anything that wasn't required for the car to still function.
Yeah. Now, Jared, forgive my ignorance. Is there options for the 428 head out there? Is there, springs and retainers and stuff? You got to kind of mix and match and find what works.
If my memory serves me correct, I'm actually pretty sure some 4G63 valve springs can be used in there, but a lot of my parts sourcing back in the day were done through either CI Motorsports or now Modern Performance is the site to go to.
Okay. Now, Jared, when I talk to 428 guys, the subject of the transmission issues comes up very frequently, almost every time. What have you made any upgrades to the transmission, or do you plan to make any upgrades to the transmission, to enable it to hold the power?
Well, as far as the stock NVT 350 trans that comes in the 2G Eclipse 420As, they do have a procedure where they call face plating, and I'm not really sure what that entails. It's something to do with strengthening the end plates that hold the input and drive shafts within the trans.
Okay.
Now, currently, I'm on a basically all stock transmission with a welded diff. I pulled the differential out and solid welded it. Other than that, it's a totally stock 428 trans, just running. I think I was on AMSOIL synchro mesh,
Gotcha.
but nothing fancy, no upgrades, and mostly because all motor power levels really didn't seem to be an issue for those.
For sure, it's understandable.
And as we're building it, I'm just I started off by doing what I had to keep it going, and then as we progress, it's going to end up needing. We'll explore other options. I actually see that some guys are trying to either swap in an SRT4 trans, or I actually hear the Honda K series trans might be the way to go now.
Oh wow, I had heard about the Neon SRT4 trans being an option.
Unfortunately, they're not like a direct swap though.
Okay. What is it about the NVT 350 trans that makes it susceptible to breakage?
I'm not really 100% sure. I'm just going to say build design. I know that they came with like a semi paper or like a fiber kind of synchros in them, and that was an issue for some of them as far as uh, gear sync and shifting upshifting and whatnot.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
I haven't really had any experience with problems with it from either when I was street driving the car or drag racing it.
Gotcha. I was just curious. So, Jared, what has been the most surprising thing you've learned about building a 428 for drag racing?
Well, I guess I would have to say we found out that the stock wrist pins, rods, and piston, like the stock bottom end combo, can handle 8,000 RPM pretty reliably until you're banging it hard off the limiter and give it a really hard stress load.
Okay. Now, I know a lot of times when I talk to 428 guys, we talk about engine management. Mega Squirt seems to be very popular. What do you plan to do for engine management, and what are you going to do for a tuner?
So we were already on Mega Squirt when times were posted back in the day, and I have since, I believe I was on the MS2 board and software at the time, and I had sent in and had my unit revamped, and I'm now on the MS3 processor with a few other add-ons. But we're sticking with Mega Squirt for as long as we can, really. There's not a whole lot of options. I wanted to try Haltech, but it seems like Fuel Tech might be an option here in the near future. And as far as tuner, my younger brother, Jonathan Swindell, has always been my computer guy. So he always came with me to races and would do all the tuning on the car.
Is the man behind the keyboard?
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Jared, I think most of these answers are probably pretty obvious when it comes to the biggest hurdles. What are some of the biggest hurdles when it comes to building the 428 for power?
I think that's kind of, I feel like that's like a subject of stipulation, really. All motor doesn't, there's not a whole lot of, it doesn't seem to be a real power maker as far as all motor goes. Now, once boosted, I do hear that there is some potential, but I'm not real sure of all the weak links. I've never had a boosted one. This car has still been in the all motor state for as long as I've had it, and I plan to continue building on the all motor platform until until I reach my goal of being the number one all motor 420A.
Gotcha. I like that goal.
Actually, that was my goal from the beginning. Was Mark
Nice.
Bullitt still holds it.
See, hanging in there, ain't he? A little over a second behind him.
Not really too bad considering it was on a totally stock bottom end.
Right. Would you say that I mean, in my mind, not knowing a lot about the 428 market, is parts availability an issue?
Well, I'm going to definitely say the aftermarket is not nearly as vast as the support for like the 4G63 platform or the like the Hondas and such have a lot more support. Price point wise, honestly, build parts are still lower than most other platforms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jared, have you had a bad mechanical failure at the track?
I have, and I I can play it back in my mind like it was yesterday. We were at Hebron, Ohio for Import Face-Off in October. It was a month after the 2013 DSM shootout in August. And I took the car back out. We had just switched over a fuel change. We went from pump fuel to methanol, M1, and straight off the trailer, just from doing a fuel change, we picked up 0.7 of a second without doing any tuning at all, other than adjusting for fuel consumption. However, right after that first pass, which was the record-setting pass at the time, we get back to the pits and we're working on the car, and the laptop fell off the roof of the car.
Ooh.
So we broke the screen and honestly couldn't do anything more to it. We tried using like a quarter of the screen to do some tuning adjustments and just center it back up to the lanes because I was due for first round eliminations, I believe. I pull up, get into the staging lanes, and I get called up to the line. And I was doing second gear burnouts, but due to the broken computer and there was something going on in the Mega Squirt, I believe a connection and a soldered connection had come undone, and I no longer had my launch control. So I was doing a second gear burnout, and I was banging the hard limiter probably like 8,200, and when the tires caught, it threw a rod straight out the front of the block, and there were I watched the hood jump up, and there were 2 dents in it from pieces of either the piston or the rod that were in it. Track officials were less than happy with me. It dumped all of the oil right all over the starting line.
Wow.
Now, I remember the announcer telling me to get my piece of crap Mitsubishi off the track. But unfortunately, we lost the video from that event of that pass, of the 14-2 pass as well. That weekend things just didn't go for us. It was racing at its finest.
Now you got to live it out just in your memories.
Yep. I certainly remember it.
All right, Jared, let's talk about your personal best for ET and trap speed. I was just doing a Google search here. It says the stock 99 Mitsubishi Eclipse RS quarter mile times is 16.71, just for reference. Now you can go ahead and tell us your PB.
1671 in stock trim.
That's what it says.
It's not too bad for a 3,100 pound car, I guess, making 140 horsepower from the factory. Currently, the best pass was at that Hebron, Ohio import face-off, and it was right off the trailer at 14.2, and I believe it was about 96, 97 mile per hour.
Yep, 96.8 is what I have here on the slip. Quite impressive considering no power adders. That's amazing.
A big contribution to that is weight reduction. When I had the car at that shootout that year in 2013, I had it on the scales without me in it. The car weighed 2,095 pounds, just under 2,100, which is
Nope.
1,000 pounds under factory weight.
Wow. That's really cool.
Ask me how I did it. I'm not sure. They pack a whole lot of weight and all that interior and nonsense, I guess.
Now I see why you're doing all the weight reduction stuff, like you're talking about the tubular front, all that stuff. How much of a difference that stuff makes.
Yeah, well, since that time, we've done a few more things. Like I said, I'm working on doing actually a removable tubular front end to where I can unbolt the whole front clip, where the radiator and like the parts like that will stay on the core support and can be pulled off and moved out of the way if I need to get access directly to the block or something that's harder to get into. Just disconnect some fittings and then pull the whole setup off without having to pull the radiator out and everything else that fastens it in.
Gotcha. Jared, do you remember your very first pass with this car? How did that go?
So the very first pass in this car was at the 2013 DSM shootout, and I was racing bracket class. We showed up Friday evening and did a few test and tune passes, and I honestly, I can't remember what it ran right off the trailer, the first pass. I want to say it was somewhere in the high 15s, low 16s, I want to say. And then we did some minor tuning, and that weekend, I believe its best pass was like a 15.3, 15.2, low 15s.
Okay. That's still a huge improvement over the stock form, so that's really cool. Just to see that much improvement already.
Now, we did use like an online horsepower calculator based on ET, trap speed, and weight of the vehicle, and it had us estimated making about 175 wheel horsepower.
Okay.
On that stock bottom end setup.
That's really cool. I like that a lot. I mean,
now considering the factory like drivetrain, you usually lose like I think it's 15% or more in drivetrain loss. They estimate the cars to have been making 110 from factory wheel horsepower. So to come up from 110 to gain 60, 70 horsepower on just through cams and a built head, I'm not mad at all.
Right. For sure.
Fuel played a big factor in that too, though.
Oh yeah, that methanol definitely help out.
It's an amazing thing.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Tao Performance Engineering. Tao Performance Engineering is a collaboration of multiple automotive and performance skill sets working together to provide the performance industry with engineered solutions and race-proven results. They have experience in professional automotive service, OE, and aftermarket drivetrain research, and product development, including product and vehicle subsystem powertrain development. These are all key attributes to the Tao team skill sets. Driven by the passion of motorsports, Tao delivers premium quality service and products to customers with varying extents of racing, from grassroots to professional race teams. Most notably, the PTE drag race shift kits for the W4A33 as well as the F4A33 automatic Mitsubishi transmissions have propelled some of the quickest and fastest DSMs to personal best, including the 2 finalists at the 2023 Shootout Street 32 class. At Tao, they specialize in developing powertrain and drivetrain solutions for racers and businesses alike, with detailed analysis and race-proven validation. Any and all systems, subsystems, and even components that affect powertrain and drivetrain are all on the table for Tao.
Whether you or your business is in need of design, consultation, product development, including 3D scanning, CAD modeling, 3D printing, and component manufacturing, validation, or even in-vehicle validation consultation and execution, the TPE team is willing to help you tackle your issue. You can contact TPE today through Facebook and Instagram at TAUPERFENGR or via email at info.tauperfengr@gmail.com.
Jared, what's been your favorite moment at the drag strip with this car?
Favorite moment? It's going to be a love-hate thing for me, really, I guess. At the shootout, I made it to the final round that year, and I took second place in bracket class. And I lost to, I don't remember his name, but guys that went for many years will remember there was a completely stock red 3000 GT that was a non-turbo, like SL model that would run bracket class and like clean up every year, like year after year. And I had him in the final round, and I remember making one of the worst mistakes of my racing career. I pedaled it in that pass because I thought I was going to break out. I was just barely ahead of him, and I thought we both had a pretty decent start off the line, and so I really didn't want to lose to just breaking out. So, and I didn't know how to pedal at the time either. So instead of just backing off a little bit, my foot completely came off it for like half a second or more, and when you get back in it, you lose a lot of time when you're coming down like that. But like I said, it's a love-hate thing for me, but it's still it was like an accomplishment. The first outing that car ever made with me, and I made it to the final round of my favorite race of the year where I thought it belonged. So I was still pretty stoked. And to lose to him, I really wasn't all that mad because his car was so consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that was even an auto. And I was running pretty darn near consistent times of like 15 threes or 15 fours, and my car is a manual.
You got that redemption some years later in your Outlander Sport beating a Buick Grand National, though.
Yeah, he blew the tires off because I knew that was the only chance I had. I had to get off the line and hope that something didn't go right for him because he greatly had me overpowered to run me down.
That'll be one of my all-time favorite moments at the shootout, and I feel like it goes underappreciated.
I would have to agree. I do remember hearing a little bit of buzz about it afterward. Now that was 3 years ago now.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, and I just did that just to stay in and have a little bit of seat time and participate at the event again.
Yeah, and the Outlander Sport was working like clockwork out there.
The only changes I had to make were factoring in for fuel consumption, as I would make more and more passes throughout the day and use fuel out of the tank, it would start to pick up a little bit of time.
Okay.
But that's bracket racing.
Yep. Jared, as we both know, the 420A is often overlooked. How do you respond when people are negative towards your build?
Well, I'd have to say that the negativity has actually gone down a little bit over the past few years or so. But for the most part, when I would catch a little bit of flack from people, I would just say to them, I would admit to myself, like, this is what I'm passionate about. Like, this is the car that I chose, and I'm in it now. I'm dedicated to it, and I have a goal in mind. And as long as you keep your goals in mind and stay focused, you can achieve damn near anything.
Right. Yep. I feel like a lot of us early on, I wish I had that attitude because when I started off with the 428, everybody said, sell it, buy a 46.3. So I was like, okay, that's what I did. That first car, I just loved it so much. Wish I still had it. Well, Jared, you kind of hinted at it already, but what's next for the build? You talked about the tubular setup. Are there any changes for the engine drivetrain?
Well, I say we, because I always include my brother in it still, but as far as building the car, I'm pretty much a sole proprietor at this point. The car lives with me. I do any work that gets done to it's done by me. But I still consult with my brother, and we're a team, and we'll always be a team, regardless of whether he's my brother or we're estranged or whatever. But he shares the same passion as I do about it. As far as changes, we have big changes in the mix. I've been working on a built motor for a very long time now, probably going on over 10 years. It was just after the shootout that blew up, and I started piecing together yet another one, and it was more or less acquiring parts and just waiting it out. My brother John, also does all my engine machine work. So we sourced a block, and he took it to his machine shop where he works at, and he did all the boring, he did all the line honing and whatnot for the bearings. Any machine work that went into the motors was done by him. He turned the cranks on the grinder. He even ported and polished and did most of the legwork on the one cylinder head that was in it at the time. Now, I'm currently looking at a all motor build. I have in the block right now JE 10.5 to 1 pistons, partially because I couldn't find the 12.5s. A custom R&R aluminum connecting rod, and then the crank was turned and micro polished, tear dropped, and gone over by my brother. That's about as far as the bottom end goes. And then as far as the head, back in the day, I purchased a CI Motorsports Stage 4, which was the built to the teeth kind of head that they offered at the time, and I believe that's the casting that we're going to be reusing at this time, and of course, built with cams and retainers and such. We're going with a full Brian Crowder drivetrain or valve train.
Love it.
And then before it's still on Mega Squirt standalone. It's going to be coming out on methanol again, maybe started on pump gas just to get some bugs worked out before we switch over. But I've been acquiring parts for a long time.
Ready to put them all together now.
Yeah, we're just about at that point. Like the whole short block has been together for a while. It's painted, it's wrapped up, and it's sitting, and it's just been kind of waiting for my decision of what I want to do for the rest of it. It took a little bit to source cams and whatnot. Brian Crowder actually discontinued the 420A platform in their support, and I picked up a couple of their last sets of cams that they had to offer.
I didn't realize that. Wow. All right, Jared. So, if someone out there is listening, they have a 420A 2G, they're a little bit disgruntled by people telling them to sell it and buy a 4G63. What advice would you give them for their build? If they want to go out and do some drag racing.
Talk to the elders. Find out as much as you can from the guys that have already done it. Experience is your best friend, and if you don't have it yourself and you can get it through someone else, it definitely helps as far as little tricks and tips of going through setups. I really don't have a lot of other advice to give on it. It's just if you like your car and you're okay with the 420A platform, stick with it.
Yeah.
They're pretty reliable if they're maintained and built okay. They can be decently reliable vehicles. Now, racing always has its upsets, but it is what it is there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know about everywhere, but I look on Marketplace and see 428 2Gs pushing, 250, 260, 70,000 miles. And I think, damn, they must be super reliable.
Well, I guess if I was to say one other thing as far as giving advice to drag racing the 420A, really give a lot of attention to the world of neons. The neons have built on they call it the A588 versus the 420A in those, but they have a reverse flow head. But the bottom end components, much of it is reused. I actually search for parts for like my crank and clutch and stuff by searching for 95 Dodge Neon. And
Oh,
the neon guys have gone so much faster on that platform than the DSM chassis.
so is it possible to stroke the 428 to 2.4 with the neon bottom end?
Well, see, the misconception is you gotta look for the first gen neon stuff. It's only
Oh,
I believe it's only 95 to '04, and even then, your 2000 to '04 or '05 blocks have a slight difference. The
gotcha.
SRT4 is a totally different engine and transmission.
Okay,
So the neons were still 2-liter, but they came in single cam and dual cam variants.
understood. Okay, well, that clears it up for me.
But like the valve, like I said before, the heads are swapped, so the intakes are on the front of the neon, so the cams don't interchange and stuff like that. But like
Mm,
valve springs and I know pistons, rods, and all your bottom end components are interchangeable.
okay. Well, Jared, a minute ago you talked about the kind of elders of the 428 community. Within that community, do you guys share tips and ideas and try to help each other go faster?
I don't do a whole lot of socialing. When I did, I was always open to anything. If I could offer you a tip or something that I did to help my setup for you, I was more than willing to do it. And it seemed like the other guys in the 420A platform are pretty ready to help you out instead of like turning the shoulder to you and kind of close off. Because as a community, we're stronger in trying to build something that's an underdog.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's guys, Mark Bullitt was a huge factor in some of our build decisions. And then since then, I have talked briefly with a couple other guys in the community. Um, Amit Haral, I think, is the top number
Yeah.
one holder right now.
Hmm.
I spoke with him briefly on his setup, and I think I actually convinced him to get a set of aluminum rods made for his next build.
Yep. He's kind of lonely at the top right now. He needs some competition.
I don't think that car's been out in a little while either. But
Yeah.
most of the 420As on the list haven't made a whole lot of progress in recent time.
Yeah. We're hoping for a little bit of a revival. We'll see what happens.
If all goes well, I'd really like to have it back at the shootout next year. If it's not the first race of the year.
Good. 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 We'd love to have it. I know the Warnings bring out their 428 Talon sometimes. Didn't see it there this year though. Jared, how do you keep yourself motivated, to keep pushing this platform and to get your car back together, get out there and climb up that leaderboard?
Well, it's always just been my goal. I I'm still in my mind, I'm still running towards it, even though I may be at like a crawl sometimes. I still have that ultimate goal in mind of I want to achieve the number one all motor 420A 2G, and then after hopefully after reaching that platform, I would like to start a boosted build and then obviously go for the number one overall.
Awesome.
Now, honestly, if I was to have it my way and I can afford it, I'd like to keep the all-motor car and build another one to be my boosted platform,
Even better.
and then race them both.
There you go. I like that. Well, Jared, where can people find and follow you on social media so they can get some inspiration for their 428 build?
So I don't frequent a lot of I don't frequent my Instagram anymore, but it is the number 8 Bolt DSM. So 8 BOLT DSM, and you can find me on there on Instagram. I haven't posted a whole lot of stuff from the car in a while. And then on Facebook, obviously, I'm Jared Groudon. My profile picture is the picture of the diff that I welded for my trans. And then you can actually find our team page on Facebook at 8 Bolt Racing. Maybe you might have to type in Team 8 Bolt Racing. We used to have a website, but we didn't do a whole lot of maintenance on it. It kind of fell by the wayside.
Okay. Well, Jared, at the end, I always give people a chance to give a thanks or a shout out to anybody who's helped them out, help get their car where it is. Is there anybody that you want to give a thanks or a shout out to?
Well, there are 3 people that come to mind when I think of who supported me and who I'd like to thank. Number 1 is my wife. My wife has been the biggest supporter as far as keeping me going on the car and not giving up on it. She was there when I did the whole build back in 2013. She would come out and visit while I was out welding on the frame, building the mounts for the fuel cell or whatever, taking pictures and posting, and she's always been a supporter. My wife, Bretlin. My younger brother, Jonathan Swindell, has been by my side since the beginning of the DSM journey. We watched Fast and Furious together. I bought the car. He worked on it with me. And then we started going to different drag races together. And it's just always been a bonding experience for us. If we don't do anything else together throughout the entire year, we meet up at the shootout and we have a good weekend together. And third, and most certainly not last, is he was my brother's best friend. His name was Art McMillan. And he was like a best friend to me too. He was a brother to us, and he passed away back in the mid 2000s. And it's always we're still doing it for him. He's still racing up in heaven, and I like to think that I'm still trying to make him proud as my friend. And I believe he'd have a grin on his face anytime we go down and work on it.
That's great. I love that. Well, Jared, thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and tell your story, tell the story of your 2G, and I definitely cannot wait to see that thing make a return. So, best of luck and hurry it up.
I appreciate it. Along with engine parts and such, I've been slowly collecting some body parts now too. So the weight reduction has increased. I now have a carbon hood and a hatch. I wish I could find a set of doors. But yeah, there's big goals in mind.
It's all coming together. I definitely want to see you take that number one, all motor spot, and then get back to work on it on the boosted version.
And no matter where it happens, it'll be great. But if we can make this happen at the shootout again, that would be just the cherry on top. It's always to get out in front of everybody that knows the platform and to be able to show them that I'm doing something. I'm doing something that a lot of people said that I couldn't. I remember when I first got the car and I thought I was going to build an all motor setup and I was reaching for 250 wheel horsepower, and I had multiple people tell me, "You'll never do it. That'll never ever happen." But I think I think it's there. I definitely think it's achievable. Honestly, I've upped my goal. I would love to see eventually. I'd like to see 275 to 300 wheel horsepower out of an all motor build. Now, I would hope with the weight of the car that we can put that thing I would think somewhere deep into the 11s, really. Might be a stretch, but 12s I think are achievable. At least high 12s.
We definitely want to see you there. All right, Jared. Well, thank you again for taking the time, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate your time and the attention. It's nice to bring back some memories and talk about it again.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.